What's up, guys? I'm glad you're here. My name is Drake, and you're listening to the Double Click Podcast by Holy Hill Media. Ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. All right, guys. This is episode 46 of the Double Click Podcast. I'm with Abel and Erica Salazar with ANS Steel Buildings in Defiance, Ohio. This has been a long time coming, y'all. I finally convinced you guys.
Yes, sir.
Well,
yes, sir.
I think you were on board. Erica was like, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really grateful. We're in your immaculate home.
Thank you.
This is insane. I don't even know why we were considering doing it at your office before. I love your office, but this house is crazy. We were joking earlier that we're going to turn the podcast into MTV Cribs instead of doing the podcast episode. This is beautiful. This window is beautiful. So thank you guys for letting us invade your living room. Tell us about yourselves. What do you guys do inside ANS? And just tell us a little bit about the business itself.
Okay, so my name is Abel Salazar. Me and my wife own ANS Steel Buildings. My job mostly consists of handling the contractors, the shop guys out in the shop. I do the ins and outs with them, handing them the runs, making sure that they got everything they need for their installs, and that's my background. I have the contractor's license, and that's what I used to do, is put these buildings up. So my wife, she handles the office, and she does more of the behind the scenes, the stuff that I can't handle. So definitely leave it up to she's the brains of the operations. Let's just say it that way.
The brains in the hands. Let's go.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, look, you guys have been in. Tell us how long you've been in business, and then I want to hear. I kind of just want to get straight into. You guys have an amazing story. Like we were just talking about this before we started. Like ANS had to happen. It had to work.
Yes.
Because you had a young family, and it's like you didn't have anything, and it had to work. So, how long has ANS been around, and what were the early days like?
So we have been around for about 12 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we are a steel building manufacturer. So everything happens right here at our Defiance facility.
Yep.
Beautiful facility too. You guys just I think expanded how long ago?
Over the last couple of years, we've really expanded, but we moved into this facility 4 years ago.
Okay,
we moved down from
right.
Michigan. Yeah.
Yep.
So once we bought this facility, we thought it was big enough to accommodate the growth that we thought we were having at the time, and since then we've added some acreage that are beside us to allow us to grow.
Amazing. And then you got these new display buildings stacking up, and they get
Correct,
further and further out.
It looks a little chaotic right now, but there is sense behind the madness. So
I love it, man. I think they're cool. My favorite one is the black and the copper looking, the black and gold one.
That was her. Like I said, brains of the operation.
That's amazing. So tell me, like, why did y'all start ANS? Like, again, talking before, it kind of sounds like it came out of like we had to do something. We had a young family, we needed to make money, and now you're here. Like,
right.
What were the early days like?
It was tough. Yeah, it was very tough.
Yeah, so we actually met through work.
Okay.
I worked for one of our competitors in Illinois, and he was managing a plant here in Pioneer, Ohio.
Yeah, Ohio. Mm-hmm.
So we met through his brother.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so his brother introduced us, and I mean, we've been together ever since, but that's what kind of started the idea. Like, he knew everything. That was his passion, and I said, if that's your dream, I know the office. I got you. We can make this happen. So we started from there.
So okay, first of all, love that. I love that she's gassing you up right now. She's like, your dream, let's do it. But I love the idea that like there was a self-awareness though. Like, you don't have the office skills, you do have the office skills, and you got the contractor skills, and it made sense. It's balance right there. So early on, was it just you two? Or did you sub anything out? Like, were you installing? You were installing too, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
So we did everything. I mean, my wife worked out of a corner of, she had a corner desk in our house, and that's where she worked out of. She sold, she handled all the business calls, she set everything up for us, and it was me and my uncle at that time.
Okay.
Me and my uncle would prep the buildings in our garage, in a little 2-car garage, and we would start prepping the buildings there, and it kind of just started that way. It was almost like, just do a job here, do a job there, put a little money back into our pockets, and buy a little bit more material and keep going. But it ended up becoming a hustle for us. So we really, really, really had to work for it.
Man, you started in the garage.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Monday and Tuesday was his traveling days because we didn't get semis like we do today. I mean, he would go and get enough of a load, or what we called his load, just in a small trailer. He would drive down for Mondays and Tuesdays. Monday was tubing.
Yeah, Mondays I'd pick up tubing so that we could bend it, cut it, and weld it, and then Tuesdays was our sheet metal trim. So.
Gotcha.
Go get that, and then install Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Gotcha. Okay. And was this, did you guys go full time right away?
Yes. I mean, once
I still worked. I was still working full time. Then we had a little bit of savings. We bought a couple houses. We flipped those, sold those, and then had enough to buy our first shop in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow. So the real estate is kind of what you did to get it. Interesting. So you started in the garage. Because that's, I mean, right? I love that, right? Like, how fast was it before you guys got to the place where you're like, you either had a brick and mortar, you had a team, you really started like, oh man, I think this is actually working. How long did that process take from your garage to a building?
Well, the working was from the beginning because we had to make it work.
That's fair.
You know, when we had three littles, you know, at home, and you know, they don't know and understand we don't have this.
Yeah.
So the workings, it just had to work. But as far as being able to buy a shop that was small enough or big enough at the time to allow us to grow a little bit and really see the vision of what we thought we could become, it took us a few years. I mean, we were about 3 or 4 years into it.
3 or 4 years is my guess.
Okay.
Yeah, when we bought the shop, you know, it was kind of a fixer-upper, but it allowed us to go in there and start, you know, growing a little bit to see our vision. So
yeah, I mean, and it was your space. You know
Correct.
what I mean? I feel like there's something to the idea of when you have a business and you get that first office location, or you just get that, even the first deal, like there's little moments that give you a little bit more confidence, like, oh, we can do the next thing. Oh, we got here, we can do the next thing.
That's definitely, that's right. That was a mindset.
yeah.
So some of the first years I remember, it was only me selling for us online. And then it was, okay, well, now we've got 2 online dealers. And we're like, oh, now we got 4 dealers. Right? we were getting excited. I remember Abel asking one year, he was like, okay, so we have, you know, X amount of money in the bank. Like, how much of that should we put back into the business? And I looked at him, I'm like, you know what? As long as we have a full fridge for the kids of food, we're good. Let's do it all. It was, you know, we're just going to go for it. And then we were at 16 dealers. And what I mean by 16 dealers is setting up displays, having the dealers sell for us. So that was providing growth, giving us that growth.
Yeah. I love the idea that you're reinvesting though. Like that in and of itself is everything. I feel like I see so many, especially young entrepreneurs, they make money and they're like, oh, that's mine. I'm like, but it's not though. I promise you that's tomorrow's money.
Yeah.
And you saved, you know, reinvest today to have way more tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? And these dealers that you're talking about too, it's interesting how you guys have built and scaled that business model in the sense of, how many do you have now?
Over 120 dealers.
That's crazy. Is anybody as big as you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have competition.
Do you have competition?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to arrange for a kid. No, I'm just kidding. There's a business model in that, though, that you guys saw to take advantage of, right? So these people are essentially, I'll let you guys explain it, but these people are essentially arms of you, and they are selling your products.
Yes.
They're setting up shop in their local communities, either digitally or physically, sometimes both, and they're selling your products, correct? Can you talk about what that looks like?
Yeah, so like I personally will go out and find and set up these dealerships. So we cover 8 states from this location, and through those 8 states, I'll target a specific area, and I go around looking for businesses that, you know, I could potentially set up some display models, so that they can sell for us. And we equip them with everything, you know, to be able to sell them online, and the display models draws in the customers so that we can have their traffic is what we're after. And once we set them up, train them, and they start selling for us, and you know, they're the ones who are supplying us the work, so that we no longer have to do, you know, much of the grunt work, so to speak, or the leg work to get out there and actually sell.
Wow.
We don't do any door to door. You know, we let all of our dealers handle that.
Yeah. So what you're looking for is just like, you know, a location that has some real estate that's open, that has high traffic, and it's like, let's put some of our buildings on there to really promote themselves as people are driving by. They're seeing them, they stop, and then they sell for you. Yeah. They don't have to do anything. You guys' infrastructure is already created. Your quoting system's incredible, already created. Yep. The buildings, like, they don't have, it's really just, they sell it and then they get a commission, right?
Correct.
Amazing.
And a lot of these dealers are also small business owners. So they understand business. They take pride in what they do, their communities, you know, they're known people.
Yeah.
So they always make sure that, you know, the company or They make sure that we're reputable. And we have a very close connection, I feel like, with every single dealer. Like Abel mentioned, he either, if we have a sales rep currently or not, he's out there, meeting these business owners, shaking their hand and saying, hey, I am the owner. I've got you. I'm going to stand and I'm going to be here for anything that you need. Here's my cell phone number. He just makes himself available.
Yeah,
I think that means something to people to be able to put a face to the person that they're going to partner up with.
100%. I couldn't agree anymore. And then not to just meet him, but like actually keep that relationship.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to keep showing up. I'm still here. There's a trust that's built. Which, to be honest with you, is hard to find nowadays in business.
Very
like,
much so.
especially in the contractor world. My God, if you ever get on the BBB, like, it's a murder scene. You know what I mean? But that relationship, what I've known about you guys is like, you're true to your word. You know what I mean? And I feel like over time that just translates to success because not a lot of people do.
No.
Not a lot of people are typically true to their word. That has to come though from somewhere. Like you guys have a grit, you have a work ethic. You also have a competitor's attitude, which I love. It comes from somewhere. Y'all didn't. This is a beautiful house, but this isn't where it started.
No.
Like, tell me about like what, not just the early days of the business. I want to hear more about you guys. Like, how did y'all grow up? Where did you grow up? What was your life like? I want to know the beginning of the seed of the entrepreneurs of ANS.
Sure.
Yeah. So for me, I'm 1 out of 8.
Yeah.
1 out of 8.
It's a big family.
Yeah, it is a big family. So my dad always had this wonderful and amazing, admirable work ethic of, I have to be able to provide for all these kids. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she always made sure we had clothes on our back, good food to eat, and that was it. My dad worked a full-time job always, and he always did something on the side, always something extra, always looking to provide more. So he always did like a small landscaping business, his own thing. And I mean, that's what I think he would have pursued if it would have comfortably paid the bills, but he liked the insurance benefits and he knew it was
security.
safe. Yeah, security. Absolutely. So I think I definitely learned my work ethic from my dad.
Yeah.
It was always, you strive for more, you work hard, and it's got to pay off.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's the consistency of hard work is how long you're willing to pursue it before it pays off, right? You know what I'm saying? People quit too early. They don't ever see the benefits. And then like, it doesn't work. I'm like, well, you gave up too soon. But what about you?
Well, I grew up in North Carolina and I'm one of 6. I have stepbrothers and sisters. My work ethic definitely comes from my dad as well. I mean, this guy didn't know anything but work, and he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia about 6 years ago, and my wife can attest to the fact that when he was here, and even when his mind was here present, it was always work. His mind just didn't know any other word, but I got to go to work and provide, even though he couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
So that's, mine comes from that. We had shared parenting between my mom and my dad, but my dad seen us every weekend, and the weekends, my dad, it was like, dude, we got a project here, we got a project there. I'm not going to raise no lazy bum that lives off the government. That was his attitude, So, we were 12 years old and we were always building something outside. So, our work ethic, I actually worked with him for a few months when I got older, and his work ethic was just crazy. His expectations were crazy. So I was like, dude, we clashed. We couldn't work together. I was like, no, I'm already a hard worker, but I have my own mind, and he has his, but. He was definitely one of those guys. So.
What kind of structures were you guys building at that time?
It was always like additions to his place. I mean, we grew up, humble beginnings, so we lived in a mobile home and adding a room here, adding a room there because the family was getting bigger was always, kind of the thing, or helping one of his brothers out because he's one of 8 as well.
Wow. Okay.
And so it was always helping somebody in the family, but we were always, me and my brother, who's only a year younger than I am, we're always doing something on the weekends to help my dad out. And it was always 7 o'clock in the morning and there's the rise and shines ready to go to work. So yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. So you guys grew up in it. It's what we could say you were bred into it, right? And there's kind of cut from the cloth is the way I see it. Like you didn't have a choice. Like this is just who you were, not that you would choose any different. Now that translates to ANS at this point in time. You guys have a ton of vendors. You guys have a reach further than the Midwest, and you guys have went from really trailer to this.
Yes.
I mean, these are the stories I love because first of all, it's motivating in the sense that anybody who was at where you guys were at can say there is a path forward. I can achieve success. I can live not just comfortably, but freely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just got to go get it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got to go
The
get
work
it.
in.
Right.
Definitely.
And take the risk,
Yes.
right? Did you guys have any entrepreneurial people in your life growing up or in your like young adult years? Or is that just something you kind of like YouTube University? That's how I did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, not for me. I mean, it was just, you're going to learn as you go. I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. That was always my mentality. I did have office experience, but there is no way I did before what I do now. I've learned I have to learn it. I got to figure it out. No is not an answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to figure it out because he's counting on me. I have all these people counting on me, and we feed a lot of families.
Yeah. My God. So that's it right there. I'm going to figure it out. Like, so many people think they need to figure it out before they get started. But you can't. No. You truly can't. You can read as many textbooks. I was talking with my brothers about this last night. You can read as many textbooks as you want, but until you're in the mess, figuring out how that translates in the real world, I think it's Mike Tyson that says this, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Correct. Yes. I love that.
You know
I
what
love
I mean?
that. Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're like, but you got to figure it out, right? You have to just solve on the go, proverbially build that plane in the air. And I think that is what makes successful people successful, especially if they don't come from that success. It's just a willingness not only to work, but to figure it out along the way and not have to have everything figured out up front.
Correct.
Do you guys feel like that is something that you want your kids to inherit? Whether that be the business or even just the skill set of being an entrepreneur, building.
I want them to definitely inherit the skill set. I think for me is so important to know, like, you know, you get one chance, you get one life, you can make the most out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like that comes from something that that building up, did you feel that when you were younger? Like, is that something you want to translate?
My dad was super encouraging. He was super encouraging. And I'm also a total daddy's girl. So. Yeah. So he just installed that into me. Like, he never said, no, you know, you can't do this because of X, Y, Z. Yeah, go for it. Try it. Why not?
I love that. Do you feel that same way? You want them to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want your kids to succeed in life, and you want to hand them everything you possibly can, but you know, at the same time, you want them to learn that. There was nothing wrong with the way me and my wife were brought up, you know. Our humbling beginnings is why we are who we are today, and our kids, thank goodness, they don't really know that anymore, but at the same time, we want to teach them good work ethics, and like, my youngest son, who's 13 now, in the summertime, he goes and helps us out in the shop because, you know, you're not too good for this. You know, you're going to learn, and tomorrow you're going to be driving, and you're going to want a car, and you know, so you got to learn how to get your hands dirty. If you're ever going to be a boss, you got to be able to know what you're asking people to do for you.
That's good.
Yeah. So
that's good. Now let me ask you this. You know, you kind of mentioned the idea of they didn't experience what you guys experienced when you were younger, just the humble beginnings, right? But that to me has always been tricky. Like, I want my kids to have a better life than me and my siblings did, and my wife and her siblings did growing up. But at the same time, there's something about that, like, humble beginnings that, like, instills a sense of grit that you can't really just teach somebody.
Yeah.
How do you teach that to kids when they live in a house like this?
I think, like what Abel said, you know, you yes, they live in a house like this, but Adrian, he's one of our oldest.
That's a compliment, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a compliment, by the way.
And then Eric, too. I mean, since they were little, when he started first installing, every summer they would go with him, 12, 13 years old. And he got so many compliments by, like, the older customers are like, that is admirable. The fact that you have your kids out here with you and it's hot or it was really cold or, you know, whatever the weather was like, it didn't matter. They were out there with their dad and they were helping. And I think we've as they've grown up, I mean, still AJ now, AJ just started last year. I mean, Brianna too, she's, you know, she goes to school full time and part time. So it's not, well, you don't have to. So let's not make sure that you know, hey honey, you know what, at your age, I did this. Yeah. And was able to, you know, juggle this. So, okay. Like, they're really,
you can do it.
Yeah. so you can do it.
And they know how blessed they are, Drake, you know, because while we've succeeded in life and we're very successful now, you know, both my wife and I can attest that a lot of our family members still, you know, struggle, you know, and like my mother, for example, you know, and we help where we can, you know, as far as our parents and our siblings and stuff, but we still have family who struggle financially. So when we visit and we see them, all of our kids know how blessed they are.
Yeah.
And we don't ever, you know, let them forget. So
yeah, that's good, man. Being able to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of why, I mean, even the idea of like mission trips, right? Like, hey, like, let's just remind you that this ain't just normal, right? Like, there is on the other side of the world, there's somebody living completely different than you. You always have a reason to be grateful. I think that, and also the idea of just the work ethic. I feel like that's even more important that you guys are installing into them, because that work ethic teaches input equals output, not just I'm here and I deserve output. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The entitlement. I can't stand that. I can't stand it. So I want to get back to ANS for a second and ask you guys some of like the like operational stuff. I think a lot of times business owners are, like the interviews I hear on podcasts or YouTube videos, it's always talking about stuff that's not necessarily, I don't know, it's all what they say and what they want people to hear, but it's never like under the hood. It's never under the hood. It's never like the hard stuff. It's never the things that aren't pretty. You know what I mean? I don't like that. Like, if we pulled the hood up right now, what's the biggest problem you guys are facing in business? Like, is it just like keeping up? Is it?
I would say probably like good help. People that want to work.
that's the first thing that came to my mind. Good health. People that want to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
People don't have that work ethic anymore. You know, they just it's really lacking. And like my wife, neither one of us went to college, but she's incredibly smart. Like she learned the office. Like she's exceptionally good at what she does.
Yeah.
And so hiring people that can keep up with her or even, you know, try is very, very difficult. So, and then in my area, I like to think that I'm really good at what I do. So finding that help and the people that care, because me and my wife, you know, we bled, we sweat, we cried, you know, and you watch your kids cry and ask for something and you couldn't give it to them at the time. So we know what we went through to get where we're at. So to find people that care like that is next to impossible.
Yeah.
And so that's why we have a hard time, you know, releasing that power to people to say, okay, you run the company, because we're there, Drake. I mean, we do really well for ourselves, but we can't do it because we can't find those people that care.
Wow.
And it's hard because I feel like, as you know, like he said, we were there from the beginning, the grind, the struggle. So I don't know, to find your replacement or to see like the shortcomings. I'm like, no, you don't do that. Like, wait, like, you know, you talk to people like this, you know, so I mean, all of it. I feel like it is hard. I mean, we've tried, we really have tried to have managers or, you know, like the people that we think are the right fit, and it just hasn't worked.
What do you do to you can't fabricate by bleeding together. You can't fabricate that experience. No. Right? Like you bring somebody new in and it's almost like, how am I going to get you to the point where you work like you've been here 10 years, you've got your battle scars, you've earned the trust and respect of the team, and I can trust you on your own. Yeah. How do you fast forward that without just having time? Like, is there training that you can do? Is there just picking the right character? Like, when you guys are looking to hire, I agree, there's a shortage of great candidates out there, but how do you, also because everybody's starting their own business, right? Mm-hmm. Which not lasting very long, but when you guys are going to hire, how do you try to, I guess, hedge that issue when you're saying, listen, the reason why you guys work well together is because you bled together, you cried together, you grinded, you felt it, and you've been at the bottom, the lowest lows, and you've experienced the highest highs. That creates some sort of trust and also like intuitive rhythm that you guys get, like almost read each other's mind type vibe, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
More so my wife than me, but yes.
That's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. That's just marriage, I think. Yeah. But like, how do you get ahead of that and hedge that when you're hiring?
It's difficult. You got to just try to find a balance. I mean, you want to be able to pay people what's fair, what's in the market, and balance that with the fact that you want to hire some people of good character.
Yeah.
You know, Me and my wife have always said, we leave this in the hands of God. We're God-fearing people, and it's on His time, not our time. And it's been that way throughout since day one. We cried out for help then, and we didn't get it when we wanted it, but we got it when God wanted it, and that's been a stepping stone every step of the way.
Wow.
So we went from our little garage to a bigger commercial garage. It wasn't very much bigger than our 2-car garage, but it was a commercial property nevertheless. And that was a stepping stone when God was ready for us to move here. And when we moved here, over the last 4 years, we've kind of exploded. But it's been on God's time always. And to answer your question, I think that's what we're waiting on. His time, not ours.
Timing. I love that, man. Yeah. It's so interesting. I've learned this more the last year than I have. I've only owned Holyoke for like 5.5 years now. And I mean, you only learn the hard way, really, right? There's only one way to learn, and it's the hard way. It's like as it's needed, right? But I feel like one of the things that I've been learning the last year has just been the idea that the more you try to control, the less you have control.
Yeah.
That's so true.
That's so true.
You know what I mean? And there comes a point in time where it's like, well, what's the response to that? Well, the best way to control something is actually to surrender it to God.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, God,
Yes.
I don't see what tomorrow will bring, you do. I don't understand why yesterday happened, but you do.
Yeah.
So today I'm laying it at your feet, and I'm trusting that I'm honoring you. I'm aligning myself with you, and you will lead me in who to hire or lead the people here.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's all the way from clients to contractors to vendors to partners, all of it, right? Do you guys feel like you've had to learn that over time because of failures, or is that something you guys had early on in your business? The God, like putting God in, like kind of surrendering.
When we met, we were both already Christian. We are believers, but we've always given it to God. I feel like we've there is times where as Christians we do like, well, why did this have to happen? Why? Yeah. But we've learned, and as we get older, we get wiser. We pray about it. We're just going to give it to him from the beginning.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, too, it's like as an entrepreneur, your tendency is to take it, to do something with it, take initiative, take control, put your hands on it, right? It's really hard to balance that being on your knees and saying, God, this is yours, but also having that thing in you that's like, I want to build something that changes the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really hard to balance those two personalities, like those two passions. But I feel like the fun thing is like when you're doing it with somebody, you can hold each other accountable.
Yes.
You can be strong when the other is weak. You can be weak when the other is strong.
Very much so. My wife would tell me that all the time when we started our business. Yeah. So it's like, I'll be your rock whenever you're weak, honey. And you just got to be mine, when I need it. So
our moments.
Clip that. That's clippable right there. I love that.
Yeah.
What's working together done for you guys' marriage? Because owning a business together can make or break a marriage. And I would say most of them that I've seen has not made it.
Yeah.
You guys, I mean, just the way you talk about each other, talk with each other, you guys love each other. And it's like super evident. And I also see that with your kids, like you guys love your kids so much. There's not a lot of hostility from what I could tell. Lie if it is. No, I'm just playing. There's not a lot of hostility.
Blink twice.
Yeah, blink twice if you need help, man.
I'm blinking, Drake. I'm blinking.
Get help for this man. I mean, it had to have brought you guys together, but it sounds like you guys had that relationship early on. But what's it done for your marriage, working together?
I think it's made us stronger.
Very much so.
We respect each other a lot more. Like before, what I couldn't see from him being out in the field and installing, I see it now, like in the warehouse or when we're putting up new demos and he wants to get in there. I'm like, honey, just back up. Yeah. So I think it's just, I don't know, open up my eyes to see, how much grind and the hard work, because our contractors are some of the most hardest working men that I've known.
Yeah, I think for me it's giving up installing was the hardest thing for me, because that's what I like to do. I like to get my hands on the material and the traveling part of it and getting to meet new customers and feeling, sitting back and looking at the building and knowing that I built that. There's no feeling better to me. But when my wife asked me to take a seat back, that we were no longer there, that she didn't want me out in the field as much, that was about 3 years ago. So I stopped going out, and 4 years ago. So for me, it was really, really, really difficult. And working together was really difficult because I couldn't find myself as far as like where I needed to be, what I needed to do. And she was at home because that was her office, you know, so she felt comfortable right where she was at. So,
yeah.
so I think for me now, connecting with our kids, having more time with them, driving them to sporting events, helping them with homework, little things like that mean a lot to me now. And so, you know, spending time with my wife, and there's times we can't stand each other, and there's times that we absolutely love each other. But that's a marriage, you know, and we wouldn't have it any other way. We pray together, we do everything together. It's always our kids, it's always me and my wife. I stay in my own lane. That's how I stay out of trouble. You know, and my wife stays in hers. She knows the office. I know the shop. I know my contractors, and we have our job duties, and at home and at work. So.
I love the idea that you said like we stay in our own lanes. Like you guys just. I don't think that comes from like an unwillingness. I think that comes from a respect with you two. Like I can tell how much you respect how smart she is, how capable she is.
Could never go in that office and do a tenth of what my wife does. It's just, and I'm not going to pretend. You know, I don't go in there, you know, telling people what to do because I don't know what to do. You know, I go in there with a mindset of you tell me what to do because if I'm going to be in the office, I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. You know, and I know the shop. I know my contractor. So anytime we have an issue, she always calls me and babe, this is your area. I need you to take care of it. And so I think that's what really has helped us because once I found what I was good at and what I could do when I'm staying at home, and I found a good balance, it really makes for.
It's balance.
Yes.
It's balance right there. Like, I love that because it just sounds like you guys honor each other in that. Like, I honor you in that, but also like that sense of, there's almost a sense of like healthy dependency. Like I need you to show up and do what you're good at because if not, this thing ain't staying upright. You know what I mean? Now, with ANS specifically, when you guys are looking at the future, like what do you guys hope it becomes? Like what is your overall dream? Is it really just to the moon, or do you guys have specific goals in mind?
I mean, I think expansion, legacy, because you know, if all this hard work that we've put in, both of us, definitely a legacy. It's for our kids. Allow them to continue to grow it, and, you know, or not. I mean, not
Sure.
but,
Yeah, I think that's when we set out to do this, we wanted to live comfortably and set up our kids for the future, so that they didn't have to do what we did, and that's the ultimate goal. And you know, we're there now where we can allow our kids to run it and do it, if, like Erica said, if they so choose to do so. So we don't really have a goal. We have a lot of vision as far as things that we want to do, but it's as they come. You know, as they come. It's not necessarily, oh my gosh, I want to open up 5 different shops across the states. We are.
Let's go. Actually that's exciting.
We're working on that this year.
Let's go.
So that's one of the things we're trying to do. But
that's amazing. I have no doubt you will.
We're going to grow it, I think, to the most of our capacity. It's always been my wife and I's dream that if we did make it, you know, in life, that we want to retire young and travel, and that's, you know, and enjoy ourselves and be around each other and really sit back and let our kids do what they're going to do, but really enjoy our time.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of legacy, and that you guys have built this to serve your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think so many people start a business and they get wrapped up in that lifestyle, and then it kind of runs their life.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It's you guys kind of started it with the end in mind. I love that. Now, when you guys talk about that, I think one of the things that is super interesting that is actually a complicated conversation for a lot of business owners is like, how do you do that? How do you set the business up to work without you? Is that just replacing you guys? Because like, you guys are sort of unreplaceable at the same time. Like, what does that look like?
I guess if I would hope that a couple of our kids step up and, you know, really want to take this thing over and instill their vision into it and really make it grow. Ultimately, it was for them, so that's the hope here, as far as I'm concerned. But like I said earlier, I mean, it's on God's time. So if God wants it to be our kids, it'll be our kids. If He wants it to be a couple other people that come in and really, you know, win us over and they've earned it, then we'll go that way. I mean, we're not in a hurry. But like I said, I'm not getting any younger either, so I would like to retire at a decent age. So
you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's why I didn't want to wink too much earlier, because I was like, I want to, you know, I got to see that light there.
Exactly.
I also feel like, yeah, we do want to retire early, but like he said, you know, time will tell. Our kids will be able to tell us yes, or let me try it, or let me not, and we're totally okay with that.
Yeah.
You know,
I
do want all my kids to go to college. Have to. We're just gonna put that out there.
Mama Bear demands it, yo. I respect that though, and I think that what you guys have established is like you guys have really good relationships with partners, but also with your team and just like your customers. Like you're known for showing up and like being there when they need it, and I think that is the best thing to walk into if somebody comes into leadership to take over. It's hard to undo the opposite.
Yes.
I've heard nightmares, man. So I've got two more. I know you guys are busy. I got two more questions for you. One, what's been the biggest nightmare in ANS so far? Was it a job? Was it a client? Is it employees? What's been the hardest thing to date? And what did you do to fix that, to solve for that?
I think the biggest nightmare.
He's like, I got a list.
Some of our past employees. I think they look at I know we allow some of our employees get too close. And it's almost like, oh, well, I want what you have, but I want to get there faster. So I think that's it for me. Customers, they're great. There's things where we could have done better. There's, or things where there's people that they'll just never be happy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's nothing you could do about some customers who are just like, they chose to be unhappy. You know what I mean? That's just how they live. I think that's interesting though, because I feel like that's probably the hardest part about any business is like the right talent, because they see the fruits of your labor without actually being there when you bled. So they don't necessarily know the sweat equity that went into it. They see it's running smoothly now, like must have been always this easy. No, y'all. No, y'all.
Yeah.
It ain't like that. And so I think that's interesting too, because hiring, that's got to be in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is that something you guys look for, like in an application or a resume? Like, have they been working for more than 5 years at one spot? Like, or is that just like an interview process asking them those questions? How do you filter for that?
Depends on the position, but yeah, I'm like even when we did have a manager, I hired him, pretty much because when we were interviewing him, he was really intelligent. He had some of the steel building, manufacturing background, and so he just made a lot of sense for us. But I thought that when I hired him, I could get him to where I wanted to, because I'm very old school. I'm very hands-on. So I actually took him out in the field with me a few times, and I was no longer working the field, but I did it intentionally. So this is what we do.
Set the standard.
Yeah, this is what it takes to get to where we're at. And so showing them the ropes, so to speak, and getting your hands dirty. And if you're going to boss my people around, then I want them to respect you too, earn that respect, So I'm very old school, very probably a little unorthodox, but that's how I approached it with him. And I can't speak for my wife. I mean, when she hires girls, I'm sure she has her own system, but that's kind of how I interview my guys and look at them, especially contractors.
Yeah. I love that. It's like, I'm going to show you the standard. I'm not just going to tell you the standard. I'm going to show it so you know that I will live up to the standard that I'm setting for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So the last question I have for you guys, relative to your kids watching this in 10 years and they take over, what advice would you give your kids taking over in 10, 15, 20, 5 years, whenever it might be? They come back, they watch this right when they're getting started. What advice would you have for them?
Oh, wow.
That's a good question.
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Just breathe. Breathe.
That's real.
It will be.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. Well, there's nothing that can't be unfixed.
I love that. I love that.
You, honey?
Do as I say, not as I do. No.
That's fair.
No, I mean, remember who you are.
Yeah.
Remember who you are and what I taught you. I mean, Mama Bear, she has very, we're very old school, and Mama Bear has her morals, and she keeps them in line at the house, and she's strict on them there, and I'll teach my boys out in the field, and I make them sweat, and I make them cry, and so remember that, just remember who you are. Don't ever forget. It doesn't matter who you deal with. Like Erica just said, everything's fixable. Slow down, and it'll be okay.
Wow. Amazing, y'all. We're going to have to clip that one, too, and send it to you guys. But
Thank you.
Let's go, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, man. You guys' story is incredible. Constantly motivated by you guys, your work ethic, and your commitment to, not just, like you said, your values. Like, I've spent more time communicating with you, Erica, and I feel like you are one of the most consistent people that I know, not just with the values, but the work ethic. And people can know what to expect when they come in and talk to you and work with you. And that is you can't teach that. So I admire you guys for what you've built and what's to come. Episode 46 of Double Click Podcast, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Rick. Thank
Of course.
You.